You know, a lot of beautiful things come from trees, and that's what we're focusing on this episode, are beautiful creations made of wood and the talented people who create them. And our first story is a look back at a notable sculptor whose whimsical ideas and his talent live on in his works of art in wood. Here's Floyd Shaman.
One of my favorite pieces is a little wooden mosquito that he carved. I got it right here. It's a toe made out of mesquite. Just as humor at work, so he carved a little wooden mosquito. And people first think the little insect that bites you, but it's a toe made out of the wood mesquite. So that's kind of how his mind worked.
Floyd Shaman was an artist. He was a sculptor from Wyoming, and he was a professor at Delta State from around 1970 to 1980.
The second year of college at Delta State, I switched my major from sociology to art. And I think that was Floyd's first year to teach sculpture there. So he was my sculpture teacher, or maybe he was my 3D teacher at first. Being from a conservative part of the country, I felt that he was the most interesting teacher out there. It wasn't that he was extreme in any way, but he was so creative that he made us just open our eyes to new things.
I went to Delta State in 1971 as a major in, actually at that time it was commercial art. But I took a 3D design class from Floyd, and he had us unusually, for now I realize it's unusual, he had us carve alabaster in a 3D design class, which the way we teach 3D design here is cut paper. but I became a sculptor from that moment, and it was because of him, yeah.
I think the interacting with the students and that part of the job he really enjoyed. He really did not like all the administrative work. He wasn't very happy with that, and some of the restrictions that were placed on them artistically and otherwise. And so he taught at Delta State until 1979 or 1980, and left to go out and just do sculpture full-time on his own.
My children, who have always been very supportive of me, as well as my wife, were going to high school here, and actually my oldest son was ready to start college. And so we decided to stay here until all the kids had gone to college and finished college at least, and by now we're pretty much part of the community.
I was trained as a stone carver, actually, and I moved to Mississippi, and there wasn't any stone to be had, but there's a lot of wonderful logs. So I started carving logs, and there's a couple of problems with carving logs. One is that they are not cured, so when you put them indoors, they generally split. And also, you really don't have the ability to extend the shapes very far. You're tied into this tight configuration always.
And so he started buying shelving pine at the lumber yard and gluing that together, cutting shapes out. So that's kind of how he developed into that laminated wood process. And that early on in the early 70s, he kind of transitioned through that and just kind of refined it over the years.
So he was able to take the shapes, and he could actually change the wood color, the wood tone, different types of wood, to give it that variation that he loved. Now, being able to see the strata in some of these is what makes them, I think, more of an art form than if it had just been one solid color.
He would go out to the studio and work hard, and really started seeing some success. Had a lot of success up in New York area. I think the local galleries were good for him. There's one in Vicksburg, the Attic Gallery, Southside Gallery up in Oxford. There was a gallery up in Memphis and Jackson, Tennessee. And then also over in Little Rock, there was a gallery. She really did well selling his work there.
I don't think there's much Southern influence in my work. I would hope that it's more universal than that. Of course, there are Southern things. I do a lot of watermelon things, which I guess are Southern, but you can eat a watermelon in Canada, I suppose, so that's no big thing. My work primarily deals with the human figure, the human condition, and in the past few years I've done quite a few animal pieces.
Well, he was drawn on his influence from living in the West, so you see a lot of that in his work. You see cowboys and Indians and Western figures. You see a lot of just real people he encountered in his life.
I like this part of it because it's very controlled.
He continued to work as much as he could. He usually had several different pieces going on. He got cancer, and he thought he had it beat, and then before we knew it, it had come back just with a vengeance and took him pretty quickly, and that was in '05. Mom had diabetes, and just eventually the diabetes just took its toll on her body, and that was 2010.
She was a weaver, and she made rugs and wall hangings and that kind of thing, and she sewed, and it was good for both of them. You know, her being creative and my dad being creative, that's a good environment for them both to work in, but she was very supportive of my dad. Once
Dad passed away, we wanted to do what we could to kind of keep his work in the public eye.
So we talked to the Mississippi Arts Commission about what do we do with all this art, and they suggested talking to the Lauren Rogers Museum first, because it's such a beautiful museum and it's in Mississippi, and it just would be such a great place to have his work.
He had an exhibition here at the Lauren Rogers Museum of Art in 1978, and it was kind of the first time that this part of Mississippi got a chance to see it. And we're in the middle of the piney woods, so any exhibition that does with anything with woodworking is kind of going to be of interest to us. And so he's been one of those artists we thought it'd be great to kind of reintroduce not only to this part of Mississippi but to the whole state.
And I think we had 10 or 12 big pieces there in the show, and very, very appreciative to them for doing that. And they did ask us if they could keep one of the pieces of the inventor for their permanent collection. And so I've also been reaching out to different museums around the country, and we have recently been able to place a piece with the Booth Western Art Museum north of Atlanta in Cartersville, Georgia, and that's a piece, Spike Finds Romance. And then also the National Cowboy Museum in Oklahoma City. We've placed a piece called Annie Oakley there. The Ogden Museum of Southern Art in New Orleans, a couple of years back, we were able to place a piece with them, Carla announcing. I guess I just hope that, if we're able to place his work in some of these more prominent museums, that people will, get to see his work and appreciate it, and just, that he's known as a capable, talented artist, and that he's just not forgotten in the dust of time.
He's still kind of a presence, whether he is physically here in this world or not. And I would say the same about Molly, both of them. They were just two people that had such an impact on a wide variety of others. And his work is it does stand the test of time.
I don't have anything else. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I think we've pretty well covered. What do you think?
Thanks for joining us. If you like what you see, subscribe to Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Till next time, I'll be seeing you on Mississippi Roads.